Great. Well, first and foremost, it's an honor to be up here, so thank you all for the invitation. Mayor Ritter, Mayor Hall, as I talk, I'm going to look to the two of you a lot because there's an initiative that is a significant part of what we do as an organization today, and it's largely because of the 5 mayors along the North County corridor. I was just talking to Jim Desmond on my way up, and San Marcos has been such a critical part of this as well. But being here in Vista, a couple things I just want to note first and foremost. I'm not sure if Kevin Ham is in the room. Kevin's around, not here. Yeah, so Kevin is somebody who I have had an opportunity to work with for the 2 decades I've been in San Diego. Most of my history in San Diego has been in workforce development. And so actually following the superintendent, I'm going to echo an awful lot of what you just talked about, because at the end of the day, the things that are so critical to our economy are people-centric, and the talent that we have in our workforce is what will power any of the economic dialogues, any of the economic ideas that we have, and that comes from our schools. We've long thought in San Diego that we're a great place because people seek it out from all over the world. They come here from different places. We're truly a great community. We're truly a great workforce and a great economy, and we know that the young people who are growing up in our communities have the opportunities to thrive here. So that's a significant part of what we do. But Kevin and the mayors of the 78 corridor, all the cities of the 78 corridor have been huge champions of that for a long time, but the organization that I spearhead for quite a while seemed an awful lot, and we may still seem to a lot of people to be sort of a downtown-centric or a city of San Diego-centric organization. So let me give you 2 minutes on our history, and then let me go into what I was asked to speak about, which is sort of more or less a state of the economy, and with a particular lens on what the cities along the 78 corridor and the city of Vista mean to the current situations in San Diego in the future. So the San Diego Regional EDC has been around for 54 years. And if you go to any region in the country, any major metropolitan economy probably has an EDC, if not many EDCs. Economic Development Councils, Economic Development Corporations, you name it. We've been around so long that the founding chair of our board was Saul Price, for those of you who've been around San Diego for a long time. One of the many, many things Saul Price did in San Diego, probably just a footnote, very, very small footnote on his history. But Saul and the business leaders at the time felt that the Metro Chamber of Commerce in San Diego was a great place to come to do business with each other and to focus on issues that individuals had in common, but that nobody was doing the outward marketing of San Diego as an economy to the rest of the country and the rest of the world. And the thought back then was that work should be done around attraction. The notion of sort of going out to other places and telling big businesses why they should move to our region, why California would be a great place to come to, why South County San Diego would be a great place to come to, North County San Diego would be a great place to come to, and so on. Eric Bruvold's in the room, who leads the North County EDC, and Eric worked for our organization probably in the height of its attraction-esque years, as it was kind of starting to pivot to focusing on different economic strategies. But Eric would be the first one to tell you that if you look historically at how economic development is done, it has never really been done well by going to other places and trying to convince big established entities to move and come somewhere else. 98% of your job growth comes from small and medium-sized businesses growing. And if you look around the 78 corridor, you look around the city of Vista, that's the backbone of the business community, is our small and medium-sized businesses. So what we have done over the past 7 years, we've tried to focus much more on how do we support the growth of businesses who are here in our community? What does that work need to look like? And how do we do it in a way that's really kind of measurable and tangible? And how do we do the research that we need to that allows us to continue to look at growing sectors of the economy or growing opportunities? And every time we have done any research on the economy through the lens of any particular sector or any geographic region, the dialogue always comes back to talent. So we sink or swim as an economy, or a particular industry of San Diego competes or doesn't compete well within this county because we do or we don't have the ability to attract the talent. And there's a lot that goes into that these days. So first and foremost, our universities. Our universities, including the one that is one of the anchors of the 78 corridor, Cal State San Marcos, are so critical to how we convince businesses that they should come here and grow here, and how we convince businesses like Apple and Google and these other places who are seeing San Diego now as not a place to uproot and come to, but to expand to, that you constantly are going to have that talent that you need in the workforce and coming out of the universities. And our CSU system and our UC system plays such a significant part in that. But so do our community colleges. And so up along the 78 corridor, we also have some of California's best community colleges. And so looking around and realizing it's not just the one-time training of somebody, but it's the lifelong learning, the constant retraining of individuals that makes us competitive as an economy and gives people an opportunity to continue to grow and thrive in the workforce. But as we started to kind of take on these endeavors as a region several years back, what we started to realize is we wanted to be able to be in the conversations with the top regions around the world when it came to talking about growing businesses and growing economies and helping to kind of create a quality of life across our region that allowed us to sort of stand toe-to-toe with the top metros, not just in the US, but in other countries around the world as well. But what we started to realize is the best regions in this country and in other parts of the world are regions that not only attract the best and brightest to their universities or to their existing companies, but they grow them. They're the regions that actually invest the most in education, invest the most in long-term lifelong learning, and that's something, again, in following the superintendent, and so much of what you talked about, whether it is science, technology, engineering, and math, whether it's a focus on the arts, whether it's knowing and understanding and contributing to your community so that you feel part of something bigger. All of those things that school districts have so long been focusing on, the late comers to that dialogue are probably your economic development organizations, but we realize now that those are the stories that make a community special. We talk all the time about economic anchors. How would you convince a business to stay or grow or come to San Diego? The military has long been one of those economic anchors for our region. The quality of life, the beautiful weather has long been an economic anchor for our region. The industries that have grown along sort of the Torrey Pines corridor, but then have then moved up into North County San Diego as well. Our technology and our scientific industries have become an economic anchor for us. And because of that weather, tourism will always be an anchor for San Diego. But the anchors that we want to get people kind of thinking about today are universities that are not just training individuals to come out and be great employees, but to be great leaders and be great leaders here. UCSD is a fantastic university. It draws people in from all over the world. And then a lot of those individuals leave and they go on to other places. Cal State San Marcos is a place where the overwhelming majority of the talent that comes out of that university continues to work in, invest in, and grow businesses in and around our region. And so those are the places that we need to be focusing more and more. So as we talk about sort of the state of the economy in San Diego, you can look at a lot of things these days. The state of the economy in any place that anyone is talking about it should probably be a state of we'll see. Because right now at the federal level, there's stuff happening that nobody in this room has any control over, and we can kind of think that strong words that are coming from Washington, D.C. don't impact economies at the local level, but they do. We can keep an eye on those things. But locally, where the solutions will happen is when 5 mayors from 5 cities come together and say, we could compete with each other. We could all be up here trying to figure out how each city pulls in new jobs and businesses, or we can recognize the citizens of our cities actually travel to and from each other's cities all the time. That we're one fluid region, that a public transportation system runs east and west on that 78 corridor and people drive it every day. That if those 5 cities became the kind of place that were that collaborative, that their mayors could come together and say, what if we all had the same sort of policies so we could make sure a business doing business in San Marcos or in Carlsbad felt like they were getting the same treatment and the same level of support? What if we could recognize the greater good for not just the city of Vista, but all of the surrounding cities? Could we become an economic destination for more and more businesses to think about coming to? Absolutely. And so when we go out now and we talk about this region, that region that Saul Price 54 years ago thought we should talk about by way of sort of a downtown center and maybe some businesses that are growing out and around it, we tell stories of these regions, and one of them is the 78 corridor. One of them is this place that you can come to that has a university at one end, one of the largest military installations in the world at the other end, and everything in between. Small businesses, craft brewers, you name it. That all those things are here, and the quality of life is unique and diverse and different, and it is quintessentially Southern California, San Diego County. You can be part of that. That's part of how we now talk to talented people about wanting to come to this region, about investors who want to invest in what's already here, about students who want to come to a university. That's where our attraction is these days. So, we have a low unemployment rate in San Diego County. We have a lot of great economic indicators that someone like me is supposed to stand up and sort of boast about. But we have a lot of problems and challenges too. And I don't want to end on problems and challenges, so I want to swing it into an up note. But the young people coming through your school district, their ability to buy a home here and live here in this region and thrive here is in jeopardy, right? We all know that. Everyone knows that California and San Diego County have a housing crisis. I think the good news is that we have policymakers at all levels who know that, and that they're trying to work more and more with developers and businesses to make sure that we're doing something about that, and not just doing something about it which is a one-off over in the corner somewhere, but that we're thinking systemically about how we change these things. We have a new head of the San Diego Association of Governments, and if you look at his background, he has a phenomenal background in thinking through public transportation systems to move people around some of the most complex regions of the country. And hopefully he'll be bringing some of that into the discussion as well, so that young people, as you talk about them trying to get to and from school, people can get to and from work without it being soul-crushing or impossible for them. Those are the things that we need to continue to work on. But the dialogue that we see back in DC these days, regardless of what your political affiliation is one that is just kind of just at a stalemate all the time. Forget about if we're shutting governments down, just all the time. At the local level, we can be different than that, and in our best moments we are. And we are when 5 mayors come together and those 5 mayors say, for the greater good of North County, we can become an economic destination, we can support all of our residents and all of our citizens, and that can become part of the way that San Diego projects itself to businesses that are here, growing throughout Southern California and the rest of the world. So we take a great deal of inspiration from you, to be quite honest with you, in our work. And when we're in foreign markets, we talk about this as much as we do when we're in domestic markets. So I think San Diego's economy is going to continue to grow. I think people are concerned, as we all should be, that a recession is on the way at some point in time. We have been through a growth cycle for a very, very long time across the United States, in California, and in this region. As a region, we continue to outpace all the metrics across the US. That all looks really good. But I think we should be cautiously optimistic that if solutions are going to happen at the local level in economic development, if that's how economies are going to continue to grow and support businesses, that we have the right kind of leaders in this region, in this city in particular, to really help us do that. So that's really all I wanted to share with you today. I want to make sure I kind of stayed within the time frame that I had. I don't know, by way of the structure of the meeting, if there's time for any questions. I always would be happy to answer some, and if not, I will stick around afterwards and make sure I'm here to answer whatever questions you might have.
Time for questions? Yeah, time for questions.
No
time for questions.
No time for questions, but as I said,